how we can get more of your dream audience to see your best performing pieces of content. And we do this by using a very simple paid advertising strategy to place your best performing pieces of content in front of the right people. And so we actually went back and did a little bit of soul searching around the clients that we work with that were having some of the best success. And we realized a couple of things. A lot of them were doing a really good job of making great content. They were awesome on camera. Some of them had even been investing in like videographers, and some of them have, they're investing either time or money on their content creation. But before working with us, through a lot of the calls that we were having, is they were saying like, hey, I keep posting this content, but I'm not necessarily getting appointments. So we were seeing that kind of across the board. Then we also had clients who were having success with their content. But the second problem that it led to was like, I feel like I can't take a week off work, and I feel like I can't stop creating content, because if I stop creating my content, now all of a sudden I'm basically SOL, and I'm not going to have any more appointments coming in. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not sustainable either. We got to figure that out. And ultimately, I get this too. I don't know if you guys feel this, but I feel this a lot, is content creation can be very draining for me. Like, I find myself after a long day of creating content, whether it's planning, scripting, recording, whatever it happens to be, I find that I can get burnt out very easily. And so for me, what that ends up all equating to is like that we end up getting stuck in this content creation trap where we're like, people keep telling us we need to do it. I keep investing my time, energy, effort, and money. I still do it because I believe in it, but I'm not getting the best return, and also I'm burning out by going through this process because I'm just not seeing that like positive feedback loop, so to speak. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that you guys leave here with a couple of very important things. Which pieces of content that you already have can drive appointments for you, okay? The second thing is, how can you take time off of producing content without your business necessarily slowing down, okay? And then most importantly, when you have a piece of content that is a winner, how can we let that piece of content be seen by more people and win more for you, okay? I do have an ask of you guys, because the only guy that I see on camera right now is Steve. And I want to make sure that if you guys are here with me, you guys are here with me. Oftentimes we get ourselves caught in this, I'm on a training, but I'm also doing something in the background. And what that means is you're not good. Like, I'm going to give you guys some exercises to go through today because you are here to do a workshop with me. That means that we're either not doing the thing that you came here to learn, or you're not actually doing the other thing that you're doing at the same time. And we're giving like half an effort to both. So my ask of you is, if you would like to be here with me, please be here with me. I would love to see some engagement. I want to make sure that you guys get as many results as possible out of this, and that you guys do leave here. There's I don't know, maybe 10 of you right now. I'm about to teach you something that could legitimately give you more appointments this week. And so if you want more appointments and you've already created content and you want to do it, there's no point of, one, there's not going to be a replay. So please pay attention with me now so we can get this done, okay? All good, Sophie. I see you, and you can listen to me. Don't watch me if you're driving. All right, I got you. Okay, so a couple things that I want to break down for you. I want to show you how this works in practicality. I'm using my own personal advertising account as this example, just for the purposes of my client's privacy, as just so you guys know. I'm comfortable sharing mine. I didn't want to have to ask them to share theirs. So essentially the way that this model works, and what I'm going to teach you guys today, is all I've done is I've gone back through my own Instagram account and I've looked at my best performing reels, okay? Now, I'm going to show you, when I say best performing, what types of pieces of content are actually the highest to get you conversions, because none of these pieces of content had the most views. All of those pieces of content, though, were able to get me some type of conversation started. So we're going to talk about tracking the data in a second. But essentially what I'm going to show you guys today is how you can take the content that you've already posted, and what you're going to be able to do is run those particular pieces of content as ads to generate DM conversations in your actual inboxes on Instagram. So this is very low tech. I'm not going to ask you to build a funnel or set up a bunch of automations or anything like that. There's nothing really to build outside of what I'm going to show you today. But just so you guys know, like, how this works, okay? this is our data from the last 30 days for these 5 videos. We spend $5 a day per video. All right. We have received 50 inbound conversations total in the last 30 days in our DM inbox from this particular strategy. And I looked at the registration form for a lot of you guys that are here, and a lot of you guys have said that you've run ads in the past or you've tried paid ads and things of that nature. Well, one thing that people really tend to focus on is, well, what is my cost per lead? And what we actually focus on internally is, what is our cost per booked appointment? That's the only thing I care about, because if you have a bunch of leads in your CRM and they're not converting, like, it doesn't really help you. So for us, our cost per booked appointment internally and for our clients is usually around $200. Like, for most people that work with us, they're converting about 1 in 4 of the appointments that they book. So on average, we'll just say, on average, they spend about $800 to $1,200 to acquire a client, but they're usually in markets where it's a $20,000 or $30,000 commission. So for them, that's a very fair trade, and it's usually about half of what we've seen teams in the States acquire via Zillow, let's say, for example. So for us, with this particular mechanism, we are right now booking on average $200 cost per booked calls, and you don't even need a team. Like, you don't need a setter or anything. They're just coming directly into your Instagram DM inbox, and you're setting the appointment from there. That's pretty much it. You don't need a huge team to do it. You don't need a bunch of tech. It's literally just taking the content that you already have, running them as ads, making sure that you have a good call to action, and having a conversation in the DM inbox. There's not a crazy amount of tech to do here, okay? So the first thing that we got to do is we got to understand how organic content works, okay? And essentially, organic content has what I call like an expiry date, okay? So this is usually how organic content works. We make a post, okay? We make a post, and then what's going to happen is, depending on the algorithm, it's going to give you usually 24 to 48 hours of a life cycle in terms of like allowing people to actually view that content, okay? After 24 to 48 hours, what usually happens is the engagement or the reach dies at that point, okay? So we make a post, it lasts 24 to 48 hours kind of on the feed, potentially to some of your audience. You don't even get to control if your entire audience gets to see that anymore. Most of them don't. And then the post dies. So then what happens? Now we got to go and create more content. And then what we have to do is post it again and go through what I call like this vicious cycle of content creation, because you don't get to control who sees it and you don't get to control the exposure. Who does that? Mark Zuckerberg. That's not a you problem. That's a him owning a business and gating the amount of exposure that you get towards your content. However, you want to know what Mark Zuckerberg loves? Money. So if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, he's down to show it to whoever you want to show it to. But if you're not going to pay for it, he's not necessarily going to help you unless we go through particular types of content, which we'll talk about in a second. So the best way that we can do this to increase the amount of distribution that we get through our organic content is by figuring out which ads or which pieces of content that you've posted could be winners as ads by reviewing the data. And then guess what we do? We take those and we run those organic pieces of content as paid ads. And guess what? Then we get to control the amount of exposure and distribution that that particular piece of content gets, because we've now said to Zuck, hey, if I give you $5 a day, are you down to show this to the right people? And he's like, sure, I'm down to do it for $5 a day, but I'm not going to do it for free. Okay? That makes sense?